trying to convert everybody to call people that way instead of not believers, pre-believers, because it gives hope. And a lot of my friends, I tell them, the Christians love us in Israel more than we do. And I think it's really true. I mean, I look at just your sacrificial love, that just all that you did, Steve, what you did, Kathy, just all of you. And I can feel it. It's amazing. I can feel the prayers of the saints while I'm in Israel. And it really makes a difference in what we're seeing. So I want to share with you a little bit tonight what we're seeing in Israel. And I hope we're able to get the videos. There were 2 of them, and one with my husband and I, and one with our sons. And hopefully, yeah. Hello? Yes? Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I have 2 short videos for you. I'm going to explain them both and then let the pictures tell 1,000 words. And so as we share the gospel, this is what happened. In the back there, you'll see this outreach booklet. It's called Supernatural or Just Remarkable. And in Israel today, it can be hard to share the gospel because many Jews will say to you outright, oh, I don't believe there's a God. How could there be when the Holocaust happened and 6 million of us perished? And so there's no easy answer for that. But what happened was Richard and our older son Ariel wrote that booklet. And then we took we took some of the prophecies that God fulfilled, what he said he would do, and then he did it. And we put them on Facebook, and we bought advertisements so they'd kind of go out there, but it was only in Hebrew. And within a 2-month period, we had 24,000 hits. And we thought, wow, somebody's paying attention. So then Richard and Ariel went to filmmaking school and started to learn how to make videos. And this kind of turned it, the first one we made was Isaiah 53. And I know a lot of you have already seen that. In fact, I have a paper, I think I see some new faces tonight. Did everybody sign up for the newsletter? If you want to, you don't have to. But if you didn't, maybe we can just start it again in the corner and just pass it around. By the way, it's not political news. We don't share political news. We just share personal testimonies of how God is moving in Israel today. And so this Isaiah 53 video went viral. It has now reached up to 10 million people. And over 1.5 million Israelis have seen it. What happened was, at first, okay, we got a lot of curses, not very nice responses, but we began slowly to get some questions like, can I meet you at a coffee house? Or can you give me your number? We can talk about this. And so we ended up hiring 7 young Israelis, 2 of whom are our sons, Ariel and Avi. Ariel leads that ministry in Haifa, the media team, 7 Media in Haifa. And they are doing such a good job. They're going out to the streets. We join them when they go out to the streets. In fact, what's today? Saturday. Okay, yesterday, Friday, Richard and Ariel and Avi and the team were out on the streets again. They got to lead several people to the Lord even. And it was a very fruitful day. But the videos continue to go out, and we have a new one that just got released on overcoming fear and anxiety. You know, this whole thing with the so-called coronavirus and all the havoc it's caused, and it's created a lot of fear among Israelis. And so this video really touched our heartstring, and people are beginning to ask questions, because in the video it talks about fear, and then it talks about the solution to the fear. And of course, we all know who that is, Yeshua. So I want to start off with the 1-minute video with my husband and I. And in this one, you'll see it's from the great Jewish leader, little excerpts from that video. It was a man on the street format. I'd like to tell you some things about a great Jewish leader. Let's read some clues about his life, and let's see if you can guess who it is. And so this is some of the responses of Israelis while they heard about this great Jewish leader. It's make a difference.
From recognizing their own Messiah. Because of events like the Crusades and the Holocaust, many Israelis are disillusioned with God and have a distorted picture of who Jesus really is.
What if we could see Yeshua, Jesus, without all the cultural accoutrements? What if we could see him for the very first time? What would our response be?
זאת יותר יפה. זאת אומרת, זו התפיסה היהודית המושלמת, האולטימטיבית, כן.
הלוואי אם הייתי מכירה את הבן אדם הזה. יש לו לב ענק, נשמע חלומני.
הוא אדם צדק. אני חושב שמדובר על אדם גדול. כמו משה רבנו, שהיה עומד עליהם לשרת אותם.
אין לו קטע של גאוות יתר וכזה.
אדם הוא טהור. אהבת ישראל שלו למעלה מן המשורה. אהבת ישראל של יהודי צדיק. אנחנו צריכים כאלה בדור שלנו.
Now is the time that God is opening the eyes of his people in Israel like never before.
Make a difference. Help us tell his story here in Israel. Toda rabah. So did you see some of those comments? Could you read the subtitles? I wish he were here now. We need someone like that in our generation. And some of the other responses from the video were just blew us away. There is a great hunger in the land today. There's a real void. We want to follow somebody, and we know we're missing, and we don't really have a relation with our God. We have religion. We have religion, but especially the young people are seeing it doesn't really do anything. I'd rather stay on my iPhone, and so that's what they're doing. Young people are not going to synagogue. The Haredim, the ultra-Orthodox, they're falling away from their religious backgrounds. But they're responding to these videos. Now I want to introduce you to the other video, and then I'll share a couple of testimonies. So the other one's called Meet the Team. This is only 5 out of the 7. Oh, and by the way, this week, we've hired 3 new interns. We took a leap of faith, but you know the scripture that in Luke 10:2b says the fields are white unto harvest, and then it says, don't just ask the Lord, beseech the Lord, beg the Lord to send workers into his harvest field. Well, that's what we're doing. We are beseeching the Lord daily. In fact, on my phone, you should try this. On my iPhone, every day at 10:02, my phone goes off in response to Luke 10:2. And Richard and I stop and pray. Hinenu Adon shlach otanu. Here we are, Lord, send us. Send us into your harvest field. Try it and watch what happens.
Amen.
God is doing something new here in Israel. Just as he promised, after bringing the Jewish people back to Israel, he's beginning to soften their hearts to the gospel. People who were blinded for so long by lies and distortions from recognizing their own Messiah are beginning to see Yeshua, Jesus, for who he really is.
We at Tree of Life Ministries have been sharing the gospel through the media and on the streets, and we have seen God doing incredible things. One of our videos about Isaiah 53, a prophecy about the Messiah who would suffer and die for our sin and rise from the dead, has reached over 8 million views so far.
We've had thousands of Israelis contacting us from all different backgrounds, some of them objecting strongly, but many of them genuinely open to Yeshua and even asking for New Testaments.
We meet personally with those who are seeking the truth and connect them with the congregation across the country. Some have already come to faith, and we are following up with many more.
For example, one man in Haifa, when he saw one of our videos, got down on his knees and repented and gave his life to Yeshua. Since then, he's led his son to faith, and his son led a former rabbi's son to faith in Yeshua.
We have been praying for God to send more laborers into the harvest, and by God's grace, now we have on our team
A journalist who worked for Israel's most prestigious newspaper and its most watched news channel. A videographer who was working for secular TV and left it all to serve in ministry. An editor and motion graphic designer who's worked with several advertising agencies in Tel Aviv. And a youth pastor and multi-talented co-producer.
This harvest is not just happening online, but also on the streets. We are equipping Israeli believers in effective evangelism, and then going as one men, Jews and Arabs, together out on the streets to share the gospel, to show God's love practically, and to pray for the sick.
Some of the people we met at these outreaches have given their lives to Yeshua and are now in discipleship programs in local congregations.
Yeshua said that he will not return until his people Israel will say, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, welcome in the name of the Lord.
We invite you to be a part of what God is doing here in Israel, to partner with us in bringing in this great harvest, preparing the way for the return of the Lord.
So as you can see, Tree of Life is the name of our son's ministry. Ariel, he's the one who doesn't have the Russian accent as we're walking down the street together. We work in conjunction with Keilat the Carmel, the one that David Davis used to pastor. It's now Danny Zayag is the leader. And so we're partnering together to get the word out there. And I have to tell you, as I was watching this, it reminded me of something funny. At one of the outreaches, a recent one we did, and I teamed up with, we usually go 2 by 2. And so I teamed up with Ariel. And of course, he speaks Hebrew much better, way better than I ever will. But he, just listening to him share with this one young man, it was like being in the middle of the Isaiah 53 video. I felt I was in the middle of it. It was just amazing. And right after that, a woman came by and, see, we're not allowed to share the gospel and then give something. But we can have a table with free things. And what's written on it is just b'chinam. It's free, so take one. So we put New Testaments there in Hebrew, of course, and all kinds of books, mainly in Hebrew and Russian. And so this one lady came up to me and said, you saw the red t-shirts they were wearing with the hearts? It says, Ahava lelot tnaim. It's unconditional love. Love without conditions. And so a lot of times at the outreaches, people will come up and say, what does that mean? And so we usually hand out like apple cider or something like that, and it's free. Of course, everybody knows in Israel nothing is free because everything's so expensive. So they'll say, what's the catch? And we tell them it's free because God loved you freely. So we give this out freely. So this lady came up to me and she saw the New Testament and she said quietly, I've always wanted to read one of those. Can I take one? And I said, yes, of course. So I picked out a really pretty one. I pointed out a really pretty one for her. And she said, yeah, that's the one. And so she took it and held it over her heart. And she said, how much do I need to pay? And I said, nothing, it's free. And she was like, really? And I said, yeah, but there's one thing that I ask you to do. And she was like, oh, okay. I said, just read it. Read it. Don't just take it, but read it. And she said, I will do that. And we are seeing more and more. Let me explain why this is such a big thing. As I mentioned earlier in the luncheon today, I grew up in an Orthodox Jewish synagogue near Chicago. And so I grew up thinking all Christians hated me, that all Christians hated Jews. That's how I grew up. So I was taught as a child, the New Testament is a book that teaches Christians how to hate Jews. Okay, that's how I grew up. So, and I had a very normal Jewish upbringing. And so it's really sad, but what most Jews don't realize is that this is a Jewish book, a thoroughly Jewish book, written by Jews, and it's written for the Jews and for all those who are grafted in. And once the eyes of the people begin to read from the New Testament, and they see the things that Yeshua did. I mean, what's there to hate? The love and compassion that he has. But we never knew these things. We were told nothing but lies about him. And so we really need a re-education. Like just as another example of a lie, I remember when our youngest daughter was in elementary school, she came home one day and said, "Mom, the teacher said that Jesus committed suicide." And I was like, "What?" So I called the teacher. I had to do that a few times, launch a preemptive. And I said, "What's this you're teaching the kids?" And she said, "Yeah, didn't that happen? I mean, it says that he laid down his life." Oh my goodness. So I had to explain to her, but it gave me a golden opportunity to explain why he laid down his life and what he did in the process of laying down his life. So this is the point. We truly have blinders on our eyes. But think about it this way. If I were to blind your eyes and then hold up 2 fingers, you don't know how many fingers I'm holding up. And then I ask you to guess, how many fingers am I holding up? Well, you don't really know. So is that your fault? I mean, God blinded us for a purpose. And I think probably the reason is because we would be so selfish. If Yeshua only came to us and didn't come to you, the Gentiles, then we would probably just keep him for ourselves and not tell anybody. So he made us blind, and we had to suffer for centuries. But then the gospel went around the world, and it went to everybody, because God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. So it wasn't just for us. It's too small a thing, he said in Micah, to send you just to the house of Jacob. I'll also make you a light to the Gentiles. And so that's what's happening. But you know what? We need you in this. We really need your prayers to stand with us for more and more eyes to be opened. And I am thrilled with 2 weeks ago when we met with Ariel and Avi, and we took them out to lunch near their office in Haifa. And when they sprang the news on us, because we actually raised the support for the team. Kayla the Carmel gives 1/3 and we give 2/3. And so they said, we want to hire 3 new interns. They're really good at responding to the people. They're very sociable. They can get out there with us on the street. And they're all 3 really talented with social media things, videos or things like that. And so Richard and I prayed about it. We said, okay, by faith, go ahead, hire them. And so please pray into that. And if the Lord puts it on your heart, then let me know. And if you sign up for the newsletter, then we'll do that too. But let's worship the Lord in this. And I'm just thrilled to see those of you who are here. And as I said earlier today, God is building an underground railroad. Mainly Christians, just like he did in the time of Nazi Germany. And there were many, many believers who literally laid down their lives to help hide Jewish people and get us out of danger. And I believe that he's going to do that again here in America. Yes. There's a time coming, because God said we had to come home. He said, I will gather you from all the nations where I scattered you, and I'll bring you back home. And I want to tell you, we have done outreach on the streets of New York City, Miami, Los Angeles. We've trained others how to do this with our Aliyah brochures, and we printed thousands of them and given them away. And we hear the same thing over and over from Jewish people regarding Aliyah. Have you considered Aliyah? No thanks, I'm comfortable here. That's what we always hear, I'm comfortable. So what is God going to have to do to fulfill his promises? He's going to have to make us very uncomfortable. And that day is coming.